He's the smooth talking, drive walking, morning banana host hosting, the one and only Adam Josh. Good morning, everyone. Never gets old. Good morning, good morning. This is the Morning Banana Show. My name is Adam Josh. This is a banana, an organic banana, probably from Portugal. From the Azores, maybe. I'm here. I have coffee and a banana, as I normally do. Backdrop here is the Algarve in Portugal, and let's get into it. Today is Wednesday. It's early morning, and this is 166 bananas that we've had together. Let's dig in. I've got some dates from Iran here. I don't care what anybody says. Iranian dates have always been good, and they're still good, even if there's a war going on in Iran, or a potential war with Iran. Which, I mean, hasn't there always been a potential war with Iran? I remember Hillary Clinton years ago saying the first thing I would tell the Iranians is that we would bomb Iran if I were president. So glad she's not president, but instead we have Biden. Anyway, Portugal has its own issues. Canada has its own issues. Germany has its own issues. The dates. Yeah, were purchased in Germany from Iran. I'm somewhat of a date connoisseur. But how are you guys doing? You know, you hanging out at the beach in February, you outside on the front deck, February 7th like I am. February 7th, 2024. I gotta say, you can see in the background here, but the chemtrails are happening over Portugal as well. But it's a little bit different situation because of the two coasts, the southern coast and the western coast in Portugal. So they have a lot more wind. They call it a microclimate that drives away the chemtrails. Although, I mean, these plain chemtrail operator guys, they're really persistent. But it was a little disheartening to get here and see chemtrails, I'll be honest. So, one thing I wanted to talk about was an issue that the Portuguese are dealing with, actually. I've talked about drought and water quality before, but one thing that people are really concerned about right now is drought. There's no nice way to talk about this. There's no nice way to talk about drought. Because if you're on the island of Australia, for example, if you're in Portugal, for example, if you're in Israel, for example, and you're talking about drought, or the whole continent of Africa, for a matter of fact, South Africa specifically, I'm thinking about. But if you're on an island or an area of the world that's surrounded by ocean, and you're experiencing a drought, what it means to me is that there has been a monumental failure by your local politicians and government in the prioritization of oil over water. Both oil and water are necessities for life, absolutely, but oil is a necessity for more like finance, commerce, machinery, agriculture. You know, to think naively that we could just click our fingers and in 2025 all these diesel trucks on the highway are going to go from, you know, diesel to battery powered is it's a pipe dream, a politician's pipe dream, and they can try to set these arbitrary dates, but it's not reality. If you drive the Highway 1, if you drive the Autobahn, if you drive around Europe, if you drive through Canada and America, you'll see what I'm saying. It's just every single truck is a diesel truck, and you're trying to imagine that they could be switched over to electric overnight, or because of some arbitrary date that a idealist politician says. It's just not reality. So it would be a slow-moving process, but no chance that it's going to happen by 2025. Like, the entire world is going to be running on battery-powered trucks instead of. Like, this is one of the things that the protesters in Germany are protesting about over, and this is new fuel tariff taxes, and it's just, these guys are barely making ends meet, and farming is big work, and you want to add more and more regulations and more taxes. It's just not reality that they can continue doing that in a sustainable way. But as I was saying, the infrastructure that you use to pipe oil out of the ground, you tell me. You're a smart guy. You can use the internet. You're a smart person. You can research these things that I'm saying. What is the infrastructure that you need to get oil out of the ground? Tell me. A drill, right? A pump, some trucks maybe, drill bits. Once you start actually hitting oil, you need what? Pipes, and then you transport the oil, sometimes across vast distances, right? There are pipelines undersea, which was a huge contentious point between Russia, Germany. A lot of this natural gas comes from Germany. The Nord Stream pipeline. Gas is a huge commodity in the world, right? It's very high on the priority scale that we should prioritize gas. Now, ironically, this Nord Stream pipeline is going underneath a huge waterway, overlooking the obvious point here, that we have prioritized fuel, we have prioritized petroleum products or oil over water. So humanity, last I checked, can't drink oil. Speaking as a former, Rust-check technician and somebody who's had years and years in the oil business, I've ordered drums and drums and drums. I can't even count how many drums of oil I've ordered. They say that you can drink Rust-check and not die. I never did it. Last I checked, humanity can't drink oil. So we should prioritize, as a species, we should prioritize drinkable water, and we should prioritize water that we can use over oil that we can't drink. So if we die, we'll have lots of oil, but we should be prioritizing drinkable water in sequence, and then the oil. Do you see what I'm saying? So the infrastructure that you would use to get water out of aquifers or a desalination tank, a desalination systems is kind of similar to what you would use to get oil out of the ground and sell it, which is a huge international business, obviously. And water is a commodity. Obviously, you buy bottles of water, don't you? Was it the famous investor, Burry, who said that his next investments are going to be in water? Was it Michael Burry? Anyway, doesn't matter. It's pretty obvious that water is important, and what I'm saying is it speaks more to the failure of the local infrastructure, the failure of the local politicians, and the failure of the local governments, wherever we're speaking of in the world, that is encountering drought, because guaranteed those same infrastructures, those same political parties drive cars and take their private jets, and guaranteed you still have access to oil that you're pumping out of the ground for your vehicles. Guaranteed. They want it both ways. So we have the pumps, we have the giant tanks, but we're going to fill them with oil that we can't drink. So you guys can die without water, but we'll have oil. Do you see how the prioritization is off? one might argue that you have the huge logistical problem of getting the salt out of the ocean. You could argue that. But speaking as somebody who has distilled water for years, there's a way to distill water where the remnants in the bottom of the tank, after you distill it, are profitable salt that you can sell. Which people do, they sell it. So you can distill the water at scale, or you can run it through a filter membrane and desalinate that way. The entire country of Israel has figured this out. So when the rest of the world needs to catch up, instead of encountering droughts, again, it speaks more to the governments and the politicians. So, I'm in Portugal, and I'm saying it politely, but this is the reality. That your political leaders have to prioritize water over oil. Drinkable water, water for your crops, water for the farmers, before oil. Does that make sense? I know it's 2024 and I'm speaking some insane logic here, but oil, petroleum products, you don't have what plants crave. You can't pour the oil all over the ground and expect the crops to grow. You can't drink the oil and expect to live. So drought is something that has been solved all over the world in countries that desalinate or that are surrounded by oceans. So any country that you see on a map that is not landlocked could figure this out. In landlocked countries, again, I guarantee you those landlocked countries or countries in the desert have oil, and they figured out how to transport oil over vast different distances. In Canada, we have these giant pipes that stretch the country, and it's just oil running through it, like sludge oil or oil that's on its way to a refinery, and it's like the raw product. We figured that out, So what would be? Imagine you're instead of mining for oil or drilling for oil, you're drilling for water. God forbid there was a water spill. There's a water spill. What do we do? You don't do anything. You just leave it. It's just water. We're transporting water over vast distances, and one of the pipes are leaking. What do we do? Nothing. Go fix the pipe. Not a big deal. So, as I said before, I don't really have any hope for humanity in general. I have hope for the vegan community. But here we are in 2024, countries that are surrounded by water are experiencing drought. It speaks to just a basic logistical and logic failure of the local government more than anything else, because these same places will 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, always have infrastructure for oil, gas pumps, gas stations. So you should learn how to desalinate water. You should learn how to distill your own water. It may be more challenging at scale, but that's why politicians, governments would need to get involved and prioritize it, like they have prioritized oil. Do you follow what I'm saying? It's not like your governments can't do things at giant scale. They do it already, but they prioritize oil first. And we know the reason why. The reason why is because they're not in a drought. They're not going to suffer. They're not going to experience thirst. The people might. But not that. So follow me on Twitter, at adamjosh.com, on X. We're here in Portugal. We found a nice place yesterday that we're going to put an offer on, or that we did put an offer on. So yeah, we're buying up some real estate. I'm going to work on buying a small vehicle, and I've been trying to find a Toyota Helix around here. Let me know. Had a guy yesterday in the Azores trying to sell me a Helix, and I'm like, so how am I gonna go on a ferry, take a plane there, drive it back? Well, we had a good laugh. But that's been the Morning Banana Show. You guys take care of yourselves. Have a great day.